Hey, you guys. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. Once again, you guys, we're going to be talking about Teen Mom stars Caitlin and Tyler Baltierra. Every day, there's more like information coming out regarding this situation where Tyler was talking to someone who alleged to be the friend of he and Kate's biological daughter, Carly. As we all know, 16 and pregnant. They got pregnant, chose the route of adoption. Their adoption counselor, Dawn, walked them through this whole process. They wanted a semi open adoption. They chose Brandon and Teresa. Brandon and Teresa, now we know, wanted a closed adoption, but ended up going with Caitlin and Tyler. They adopted Carly. It has been 16 years since that took place. Carly's birthday was just the other day. And for a few years, it went good. However, the last few years, specifically like the last year, it has not been good. And Brandon and Teresa has closed the adoption, which led to, once they closed the adoption, it led to Caitlin and Tyler speaking out more about how adoption is not all that people make it out to be. That while it can be great and there can be some people that have a great experience with it, that's not what it is for everyone. And while the adoptee has trauma, the birth parents have trauma, the adoptive parents has trauma, it's just a lot that adoption entails that they felt like wasn't talked about. They felt like the way they talked about adoption to begin with was, it was great. That, even when they first placed Carly, for years after that, they spoke, they were like the spokespeople for the network for adoption. They promoted it and they were all about it. And so now they have a little bit of a different opinion. They have talked to adoptees, birth parents, adoptive parents, adoptive therapists and things like that to figure out more about what it actually entails, and not just surface level. They have their podcast where they talk about it. However, since the adoption has been closed, people have really started digging into Brandon and Teresa and Carly, wanting to see pictures, wanting to know more of who they are. The adoption was closed, and that was talked about on the show. We saw Caitlin and Tyler messaging Brandon and Teresa and them noticing that they had been blocked and that none of their messages were going through. We also found out at one point that Teresa asked that they stop sending gifts to the house for Carly. A lot of people talked about, like, well, they shouldn't have been sending gifts to the house anyways. Like, they were supposed to go through Dawn. However, if you watch an older episode, they did start like sending things to each other's houses. That was something that happened early on. Even when Caitlin was pregnant with Nova, Teresa sent a package to their house for Nova. So, some of these rules that they did have were altered throughout the years. Things changed throughout years, right? Regardless, the wild people of the internet started digging and found pictures of Carly, found videos of Carly. So, videos, pictures started leaking. Information was going to different creators. I was told that Carly really badly wanted to be able to talk to her parents, that she, was basically oppressed, that she had a big falling out with Teresa because Teresa closed the adoption, and that Carly felt sad about it and that she missed her parents, her biological parents, and that she wanted to see her biological parents and that she wanted to see her biological siblings. And these are the things that I was told, right? And that she didn't feel that it was fair, that she still, her brother who was adopted, they still go see his bio family, but she's not allowed to see hers. So here's the things that I was told. However, other creators were told the exact opposite. They were told that Carly was super happy and she was behind closing the adoption, that Brandon and Teresa talk to her and they hear her voice, and whatever she wants, like, they will do that, right? So it was really weird because you have me over here saying one thing from a source that was verified to know information that nobody knew, you know, and then you have other people saying the complete opposite from sources that they have verified. So it just really become this wild situation to where we're reporting on different things and people's looking up pictures of Carly and videos of Carly and they're posting them and then messages drop. The first batch of messages are between Caitlin and a girl named Jenna. This Jenna girl is saying what was told to me. However, the Jenna girl is not the person that contacted me. The person that contacted me is an older person. Definitely not Jenna. Did not contact me through TikTok. It was through email. This person did have information, but this Jenna girl claimed to be a friend of Carly's that went to school with Carly, really good friend, and said a lot of the same things, which got Caitlin worried. Like, oh my goodness, like really? She can't. And the Jenna girl said, Caitlin can't, Carly can't even talk about you guys. She can't even mention y'all's names in the house. She can't talk about the adoption. She can't talk about adoption at all, which obviously Caitlin was like, oh my goodness, like what? Like, really? That's not fair. She should be able to talk about us if she wants. Caitlin engaged in conversation with this girl, asking her to prove that she was who she says she was. The girl never could. Caitlin would say things like, can you take a picture of yourself? Can you take a picture of you and Carly? And the girl would say, oh, yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. And then tomorrow will roll around. Oh, I couldn't because her mom was in there with us. She was talking to the coach. She was doing this. Caitlin would say things like, well, what's Carly's middle name? Her real middle name, if you know her. And the girl, like, I think she guessed the wrong middle name. And Caitlin was like, oh, no, that's not it. And she was like, well, I don't know, maybe she just hasn't told me because she's embarrassed or something like that. There's people that think that Caitlin and Tyler are behind the Jenna account, that they may like text Caitlin, that they're behind the Jenna account, which makes no sense. On surface level, I guess you could say, oh, yeah, they released those text messages to prove that Carly is being oppressed. But if Caitlin and Tyler were going to pretend to be a friend, say Tyler from a text now number, text Caitlin, pretending to be this Jenna girl to say all these things, it went horribly south because they couldn't prove, like, they would have proved that Jenna was real. When Caitlin would have said, well, what's Carly's real middle name? If you're a friend of hers, she would have gave the real middle name. And Caitlin wouldn't have come back with, oh, no, actually, that's not it. That's not her real middle name. Like if they were trying to, they would have made this girl believable, but this girl was not believable. But Caitlin engaged in a conversation, and it was very apparent that this girl was some sort of catfish that did not know Carly. She had information, but she did not go to school with Carly for sure. Well, Tyler was also engaging with another person that we will call Elle. Um, Elle had come across, this is from what's being said, Elle had come across Kate and Tyler's friend Erin, who is I think she's an adoptee. And she has a social media account where she talks about adoption and everything. And Elle came across Erin's page where Erin was talking about Brandon and Teresa and Carly not being able to have a social media account, not being able to have a phone, not being able to have a boyfriend, and basically being oppressed. And this Elle girl, allegedly a friend of Carly's, good friend, goes to school with her, goes to church with her, commented and was like, this information is incorrect. You don't know what you're talking about. She has a great life, blah, 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 blah. So Erin and Elle start chatting. Erin's like, will you talk to Kate and Ty? Elle's like, sure. There is this, like, I see a lot of people saying, like, they reached out to minors just to be, let's keep it all, like, factual. They were not, like, seeking these people out. People were seeking them out, and then they engaged in the conversation, which they shouldn't have done, but it wasn't like they were going on Carly's social media page and, friending her friends and then messaging them. These people were messaging them. So anyways, does anyone know how much older B and T are from C and T? I'm not sure. So when Erin asked Elle, will you speak to Kate and Tyler? She was like, yes. So she starts speaking to them and is telling them, like, Carly's good. She's happy. She lives a good life. Like, just stop talking so much about adoption. She don't want that to be her whole, what everybody knows her for. She's her own person. She's coming into her own. Like, please stop talking. Blah, 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 blah. So Tyler talks to this person, like since January, February, conversation about Carly. Now, at some point, this person blocks Tyler and leaks all the messages. Now, from day one, the messages were like out of order, didn't really make a lot of sense, the order they were in. And that I struggle with that because I'm like, it doesn't make sense. They're not in order. Like, why does it jump from one conversation to the next? Whatever. We decided to go over them because a lot of people was like, talk about it, talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. So I read them, but I've always struggled with the fact that the messages were not in order. And now, honestly, last night in the bath, I'm like, when you don't put messages in the correct order and you leave things out, that removes the context of what's being said. So now I'm really like, can we see the messages in order? Like, I'm not taking away from like Caitlin and Tyler, engaging in the conversation with the minors and allowing their emotions to take over and just kind of throwing caution to the wind and doing something that they shouldn't have done. I'll say that. Even some of the things that was said, I want to be upfront with you guys, okay? I'm not saying that Caitlin and Tyler, what they did was okay, but I'm also questioning other things, that two things can be true at once, that they should have cut off the conversation. Like, if you are a friend of Carly's and you have concerns, can you have your mom reach out to me? If you are a friend of Carly's and you say she's good and she's great and she's grand, can your mom reach out to me and let me know this? That way, because I just don't need to be speaking to a child. I need to speak to an adult. You know what I'm saying? Yes, TNT overstep their bounds, likely reacts to emotion. Yes, I definitely think they just super desperate to know, so desperate to know what Carly wants. Is this Carly making the decision, or is this Teresa, or is this Brandon? Like, who's making? And they were so desperate to know that they just let go of all, like, common sense for a moment, for a few months, to engage in these conversations. However, last night when I was in the bath, I'm like, these messages are so out of order. It removes context. And I'll tell you how I got to that point. We're going to listen to Tyler spoke to reality TV with Ray, where he talked about how he handed all the messages over to a police officer. A lawyer has read all the messages. Police officers read all of them. An adoptee specialist, therapist has read all of them because he says he has nothing to hide. He's not redacting any of it. Like, he is sending this to them. These are professionals. It's not like they're going to go back and like leak a name that was in the messages. But he's like, I want to send these unredacted in order so these people get, like, I have nothing to hide. To see, this is what I said. Yes, I shouldn't have did it, but did I do anything illegal? And we're going to get into that in a minute because Tyler does this video with Reality TV with Ray where he talks about all that, and we're going to listen to that. But yesterday, Adoptee Thoughts released a video where it shows two messages, one from Tyler's side, one from the person that leaked the messages side. And the person that leaked the messages had redacted a portion of it. And they said anything redacted would be to protect someone's identity, right? That would be the only reason they would redact things. Well, on Tyler's side, he did not redact it, and it was actually nothing that needed to be redacted. It just showed that this person had actually reached out to Tyler first. After going some time without speaking, they reached out back to Tyler and was like, "Hey, like, I'm trying to message you on Instagram. Like, what's wrong with your Instagram?" Like, so it just, which to me, I'm like, if you're hiding the fact that you were reaching out to him, why? You were a minor, you were a 16, 17-year-old. Show that. Nobody's going to fault you for saying that, like, well, she texted him too at times. Like, they were engaged in a conversation talking about Carly. Yeah, I'm sure there are times she reached out to him. But when you redact it and hide it and paint a picture that you were like, oh, leave me alone. But he keeps texting, asking about Carly. He keeps wanting to know information. And I'm like, yes, she's good. Now leave me alone. Leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? That paints like a false narrative and a false understanding. Because Tyler says in his video, and if you want to believe him, it's up to your choice if you want to believe him. He says there were times that he said, like, block me if you want to. Like, you don't have to talk to me. You can block me. And the person would come back to him to give him information, or, so I'm just like, so that text message was leaked. Well, not leaked, but the leak leaked a part of it and showed a part redacted that did not make sense for it to be redacted. And it showed that she reached out to him one day first after not talking for some time. Well, I have obviously talked to Tyler about this as well. And people can get mad and like, oh, that you're in their pocket, whatever. I don't care. If I have access to ask people stuff, I will do that so I can get my information as correct as possible. Tyler sent me two messages as well, where one was redacted, one was not. And the part that was not redacted, showed this person saying, I want to send you a picture of Carly, but your Instagram's not working. And Tyler said, I don't think she would want you to do that. So, it's just like, if you were a minor and you were talking to him and you were engaging as well and you were sending him information and you were telling him things, like, you didn't have to hide that from us. The fact that you're hiding it from us makes me question you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you would have just put it out, like, yep, I talked to them, and yes, I did, send them pictures and I did send them information. But when you redact it and make it out like they were just the only ones talking to you and seeking you out, and you were just trying to tell them to leave Carly alone, and they just couldn't get the picture, they just wouldn't leave you alone when that was not the case, and you're covering that up, then I'm like, and two, this is not the minor releasing these. This is an adult, allegedly. The page that's releasing these has said they are an adult. I think they said like a cousin. So are they making the decision to redact the portions to show where the alleged minor, like, was volunteering information? I don't know. Either way, as someone who has had messages leaked by like people that she trusted out of context, I can tell you that context matters. So now, like, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, can we see the messages like in order? Like, can somebody just screen record their phone, like, in order to, like, context matters. And I know the times that people leaked messages from me and my sister that was out of order. It looked like we were just being like meanies when really we were responding to people being nasty to us. We were responding to hatred, but they did not post what they told us. They only posted what we said. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see the other half of these messages. And Tyler says they will come out. He is going to put them all out, and I'm here for it because I want to see whatever, I want to see what's said. Anyways, we're going to go ahead. We're going to listen to a part of Tyler's, he said it's not an interview. He is friends with reality TV with Ray. So she went live and he hopped on and they just talked about it. So we're going to listen to some of that. I do have the full video linked in the description box below. We're not going to listen to the full video because I don't feel like that's really fair, but we're going to listen to some of the things that he did have to say. All right, let's go ahead. Let's listen. All right, right here, we're going to start with why haven't you released the messages? So Ray asked Tyler, why haven't you released the messages?
Why haven't you released the messages like yourself?
Well, the thing about it is I haven't released the messages because unlike everybody else on this app who likes to just jump on these things and just go off with their assumptions and be emotionally reactive and impulsive, I am going through every single layer brick by brick to pretty much just verify all this stuff. And so I am being very patient. I'm getting all the evidence kind of gathered together. And listen, here's my point: is that there's a point in time when you have all this evidence that leads up to the point where, let's just say, for instance, in a trial, the jury has to eventually use that evidence and come up with their own subjective opinion, right? So I can have all this evidence, and then it comes to the point of subjective opinion. If your subjective opinion is you believe that you think you know what was going on in my head when I'm messaging these people, that's subjective, and I can never change that with any evidence. So that's fine. I'll never change that person's mind. That's not the goal anyway. The goal is to get all of the truth and the facts out there, unredacted, unedited, undeleted messages out there. And I'm going to do it in a very, just methodical way by having a law enforcement officer involved to read all these unredacted messages, to tell me if this is a crime or not, to have a family therapist who specializes in family dynamics and behavioral and all that kind of stuff analyze these messages.
Okay, so a family therapist, the police. I was trying to remember what the other one, a family therapist.
Tell me if I'm in the wrong or if I made a mistake or whatever the case is. And also have an adoptee and a birth mom go through all this stuff who's also a therapist who's going to verify and kind of just go, listen, I literally gave all the truth to a lot of reputable people to pretty much say, here's all the truth that I have. Here's what I'm accountable for what mistakes I made. Please burn me at the stake if you need to. You know what I mean? Kind of like, I'm not going to come out here with all this evidence and all this stuff without having unbiased opinions behind me saying, hey, You know, like I want their unbiased opinion. Like, you're a therapist, you're a law enforcement officer, you're a family dynamic specialist, like all these things. I think that's important, and it's important to do, especially when you're covering stories like a lot of these other creators are doing. You don't cover stories this big or this that have these kind of crazy ass accusations. You don't do it impulsively. You should do it very thoroughly and very carefully, and verify and verify and verify. And that's what having integrity means when you're covering stories like this. And so that's why I was so upset when people were attacking you and certain other creators because you weren't talking about it. It's like, wait a minute, how about we give grace to these creators who are actually being patient, smart, and wise, to not jump on the hate bandwagon before they have all the information that they need to have to make a valid opinion. So
Yeah.
the reason why I haven't released everything yet is because I'm doing it the right way. I'm going to do it to where I have all the evidence, it's all there, and then it leaves everyone up to the point of, here's all the evidence, now you can be subjective. You know, here you go. I mean, and at that point, it's out of my hands, and I don't really care. So trust me, all of it's coming out. You just got to be careful.
So you, like you said, like,
So one thing that was interesting is he said he's turned it all over to the police because, you know, he's been accused of like, oh, you broke the law. A lot of comments have said you should get the police involved. And somebody asked, did he say anything nasty to the minor? No, no, nothing like in a sexual manner. I know Caitlin asked the Jenna girl, hey, can you take a picture of you and Carly? And the Jenna girl was like, well, her mom's always around or somebody's always around. And she was like, well, even if you got to run into the bathroom and take a quick picture of you guys. I know a lot of people's like, oh, she asked her to go in the bathroom and take a picture of her and a girl. And she wasn't asking like for any sexual picture. Like the background of a picture don't matter unless somebody's, you know, sitting back there with the stall door open on the toilet. Then I guess it matters. But, you know, so that wasn't a good look that Caitlin was like, well, can you and Carly run into the bathroom and take a quick picture? Because everybody's like, oh, she, you know, in the bathroom and whatever. But the things that, was there anything sexual in nature or criminal in those texts? Texting at all is inappropriate, but there is no criminal aspect. The parents can, however, seek a restraining order, which, yes, so any parents, like the parents that he was texting, this person, if it's a minor, those parents could seek a restraining order if they wanted to. But as far as like anything sexual, no. Anything criminal, no. Was some of it inappropriate? I would say, in my opinion, I thought some was a little inappropriate because I am a Christian, and that whoever he was texting claimed to be a good friend of Carly's. They go to the same school, they go to the same church, which very religious people, you know, and he did talk a lot about that, which it kind of rubbed me the wrong way because I'm like, if you're talking to a child about her beliefs, you know, I didn't like that. Who approached who first? The kid approached them. The minor contacted them. So I didn't really like that. But as far as like anything sexual, no. Anything criminal, don't believe so because this person approached them first, and then this person continued to engage. So like when Tyler wouldn't text, they would text, and they would text, and they would text, you know, and then he would respond. And so, yeah. I definitely think it proves how desperate they were to know what was going on with Carly. I think they were super desperate to know what was going on with her. Is this her decision to cut off contact, or is it her parents? What did Christy say? I saw somebody say, I hope that's not true, Christy. What did Christy say? Okay. I think this was a hater catfish from the adoption community who wanted to make sure C&T never had a relationship with B, T, and C again. Well, in this conversation, I think it's in this conversation, it is said, because how would be the quickest way to prove that this person is real? What would be the easiest way? Well, the person said they're a good friend of Carly's. Now an adult is handling all of this for them, right? A post was made saying every child affected in this situation and every person this pertains to knows about these messages and they are aware that they are being posted. Well, who's going to be the most affected by these messages? Carly, Brandon, and Teresa. So that post alone, while they did not say explicitly that Brandon and Teresa and Carly are aware of them and they're aware of them being posted, if this was a friend that they claim to be so protective of Carly, they would not allow these to be leaked without Carly being aware of them, right? Without Carly's parents being aware of them. So I'm like, the person implied that Carly knows about them, that Brandon and Teresa knows about them. I can't see somebody who claims to be such a good friend releasing them without Brandon, Teresa, and Carly knowing about them. So what would be the easiest way to find out if this person is real? Kate and Ty, contact Dawn and say, hey, Dawn, can you ask Brandon and Teresa if they know this person? If anybody has come to them with messages of a conversation between us, somebody, one of Carly's friends, has any of her parents approached y'all with messages from us? That would be the easiest way, right? Well, that has been asked of Dawn. Hey, what does Brandon and Teresa say about this? Do they know anything about this? They said they think it's scammers. Allegedly, Dawn relayed to Kate and Ty, no, they think it's someone scamming. So that tells you right there, the person leaking these, if what Tyler is saying is true, and some people don't want to believe anything that Tyler says, that's your right. I'm not telling you have to. I believe this because it would be too big of a lie to lie on Dawn and Brandon and Teresa. So I would like for Dawn to make a statement like, listen, I don't know who this is. I would like for Brandon and Teresa to make a statement. Listen, we don't know who this is. We did not instruct anybody to release messages on our behalf for us. So wouldn't that be the easiest way to like verify? Well, they asked Dawn, can you verify with Brandon and Teresa? Do they know who this is? Has anybody, come to them asking, showing them messages between us? Has any of Carly's friends said, hey, I've been talking to Caitlin and Tyler for months, and this is what they said, and I finally cut them off, and here's the messages. Hey, I'm going to leak them to show the public how they are. You guys, we think it's a scammer. Dawn relayed to Caitlin and Tyler that Brandon and Teresa and Dawn all think that it's some sort of scammer. So I'm like, what is going on here? This person, if they are legit, that means if they are legit, if they are really a friend of Carly's, that means they at minimum have not told Brandon and Teresa about who they are. They have not went to them to say, here's the messages. This is what we've been doing. We've been talking to Kate and Ty. Here they are. And they have not gotten permission from them to leak them. So if you haven't gotten permission from Brandon, Teresa, and Carly, how much do you care about them to leak these? You know what I'm saying? So now I'm really questioning what's going on here. All right, let's continue listening.
You're already in the process of getting this over to law enforcement, like already and everything, or are they already?
So currently I've had a law enforcement officer go through all the messages. I've had a family therapist go through all of these messages. I've had an adoptee and a birth mom who's also a therapist go through all these messages, and a lawyer. So I'm and I sent all this information. I'm like, hey, like no information, right? I was like, listen, this is what a little general, hey, this is what happened. They reach out to me. Here's a little backstory of our adoption thing. And then here you go. Please tell me if I'm a complete crazy person, like pretty much, or if I've broken any laws, or if anything that you see is, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, all that stuff has been thoroughly gone through. And to be honest with you,
sounds good,
if the stuff that E is saying is true, I have gotten confirmed that they all believe it's fraud and scammers and not real. So I'm still waiting for the charges. I'm still waiting.
Everybody has said they believe that it's fraud, scammers, not real.
For law enforcement to come knocking on my door. That's but none of that's happening because as the investigation keeps going. I
will say that, like, if we step back, I don't have any parasocial ties to them. I cover people. I reach out to several people, so I don't have any, like, I'm not friends with Caitlin and Tyler. I've reached out to them several times, but I try to be fair to everybody. So I will say that, though, if we step back to birth parents, have people contacting them that claim to be kids, that claim to say, oh, I'm your biological daughter's friend. In your mind, that means they're a minor. Well, then, would I lie to say there would be a part of me that will want to hear what you got to say? But also knowing the dangers of that, I would have to say, can you please have your mom reach out to me? I'm sorry. Thank you for wanting to reach out to me with information about my biological daughter, but can you have your mom reach out to me? Just because it's a dangerous situation when you are an adult talking to minors.
All these messages came in and whatever. It's everyone was it's very this is like some true crime shit that I never expected to discover. So and the reason why nothing's been released yet is because there's just so much layers to go through that I don't want to leave any stone unturned.
Yeah. Well, I hear you. And again, this is why I haven't said too much about it, because how can I, normally there's when I'm reporting on something, there's court papers, there's police reports, there's all of these things that come along with what's being said, so that when you're reporting, right, people can't be like, well, that's BS or that's a lie, right? You're like, no, because I already have it here. And so I understand wanting to go that route. And I understand wanting to take your time to make sure that everything is done thoroughly. It's just so funny, I think, because people, a lot of what people are also saying is okay, but you thought that it was
okay, no, that's my point.
Okay, so this is where she asks, obviously I'm going to stop and give commentary, because everybody's like, they told you they were Carly's friend, so that would mean they are a minor. Tyler came out to say in a video that hasn't dropped yet. I'm like, please drop the video. I understand why they're not. They're trying to cover all the bases, but that he never really thought that it was a minor. So now he's going to go into explaining that. And to be quite honest, when I read them, probably the second ones that dropped, I was like, is this really a minor, or is this an adult pretending to be a minor? And I agree, whether it's a scam or not, this person said they were a minor. Exactly. I do agree. No matter what. Two things can be true at once. That he made a big mistake in the way that he handled this and the things that he said. Definitely, I think if Brandon and Teresa do end up reading these, if they haven't yet, I definitely think that's going to affect the way they look at Caitlin and Tyler and the trust that they may have in them. But I also think that something's weird with this, what's going on here?
Though, right, is that so everyone that wants to tell me what I thought in my own head, right, that is a subjective opinion. I cannot prove or disprove that with any evidence. Okay, so at that point, that's out of my control. If you want to believe that you know what I thought in my own head while messaging these people, that's fine. Go ahead and that's fine. You can have that opinion. That's great. However, I will tell you that the way that these messages were written and the way they were laid out, I know, Ray, you've seen a lot of messages that were deleted and the way they spoke and communicated. I knew they were not a minor. It's just very clear. However, I had to keep them talking and making them, and letting them think that I believed them, that they were minor. So I had to keep that going so I could get the information to confirm or deny that Carly is, in the situation that she was in, according to all these allegations and stuff. So it's like I said, so you can sit there and say, well, you thought, and I'm going to say, well, I could look back at you and say, well, you thought the sky was purple yesterday. You know what I mean? So that's a subjective opinion. I cannot change that. And I'm not, that's not the goal, is to change that. The goal is to give you all the evidence, follow the evidence, come up with your own opinion about it, and let it be what it is. I'm a fervent believer in truth. I have nothing to hide here, right? I don't have to redact messages. I don't have to cover anything up. I don't have anything to hide here. So,
and can I just say, stuttering could just be because he's nervous. And Tyler does stutter over his words at times. So that's nothing that would concern me too much if he's stuttering, because sometimes when he's talking, I've noticed he'll do that. But Dang, what did he say? I forget. Hold on.
Information to confirm or deny that Carly is, you know, in the situation that she was in according to all these allegations and stuff. So it's like I said, so you can sit there and say, well, you thought, and I'm gonna say, well, I could look back at you and say, well, you thought the sky was purple yesterday. Like, you know what I mean? Like you, so that's a subjective opinion. I cannot change that. And I'm not, that's not the goal, is to change that. The goal is to give you all the evidence, follow the evidence, come up with your own opinion about it, and let it be what it is. I'm a fervent believer in truth. I have nothing to hide here, right? I don't have to redact messages. I don't have to cover anything up. I don't have anything to hide here. So, and I never really did have anything to hide, because that's just, I mean, like I said, I never believed them to be who they said they were. However, what they did say was very, it was stuff that they definitely convinced me for sure that they were close to her in some sort of way with the information that they had. So with that being said, I'm like, okay, this has got to be either an older cousin or an aunt or someone older from the church or something along those lines, because of the way that, you know, some of the stuff that they knew. So that alone was the reason why the conversation continued as long as it did. But, you know, the one thing about it is that I should have listened to my gut when they couldn't verify who they were. I should have listened to my gut when I had, because listen, people think it was only Jenna and this other person that reached out to us, and it was not. We had random phone numbers calling us, no caller ID. Some of them were calling us off a Text Now app saying they were, you know, our biological daughter's aunt. Some people were calling us.
I don't think this is giving Catch a Predator vibes at all, because he did not seek out this person. I'm probably going to get flack for this, because I know some people do feel this way, and you can feel that way. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying I don't. I feel like when we take something like what Tyler did and say it's like Catch a Predator, we are diminishing those people that really are seeking children to abuse them in a sexual manner. Like, I not too long ago, I watched like 2 videos of Catch a Predator, and literally it was like a 40-year-old guy thinking he was going to a 13-year-old's house. You know, Tyler never asked to meet up with this person. He never, you know, I mean, he literally, this person sought him out. It was not sexual. He never asked for anything inappropriate. So I don't think it's fair to say that. Did he make mistakes? Absolutely. Did he engage in a conversation when he shouldn't have? 1,000%. When this person said, you know, so a grown man can't talk to someone else's child. Do you have children? I have a son right now that's 17, and his girlfriend comes here all the time. And like yesterday, my son was in the shower, and his girlfriend came in my office, talked to me for a little bit, and she stood in the living room talking to my husband. Just them two. Standing in there talking to my husband about my son doing jiu-jitsu. Like, no, like, I have 6 children. Like, that is different. You know, I mean, in a private message, sure. That's why I say it was inappropriate. It was inappropriate. He should have said, if you have information for me, please have your mom reach out to me. Your child, and it just would not be, it would not be understandable. Like, no, like we can't, you know, but there was nothing sexual. It was not like he was trying to hit on this person. It was not like he was trying to have some sort of like relationship with this person. So I do think, and we have people that do that. We have people that literally get on the internet, get all about these sites, get on these sites, and they seek these people out. They seek underage, like, who was I talking to? Maybe even a cop, where he said you get on a site, you put your age as like 17, 18, and then the second they message you, be like, oh, actually, I'm not. I think you have to put 18. He said, put your age as 18. Then when they message you, say, actually, I'm not 18. I had to put that as my age, but I'm actually 13. And like, see the people that stick around that will talk to you. You know, was it wrong? Absolutely. Asking, you know, them, like, if Carly ever wants to reach out, promise you'll help her, you know, help her reach out to us. Yeah, that's, her parents should know if she's reaching out to Kate and Tyler. They should be aware of that. It should not be done in secret. I'm not saying it's okay, but I'm not going to say it's like Catch a Predator. I think that's unfair. You know, I think we could call it for what it is, without like taking it overboard, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
Saying that they were co-workers of Teresa's and they got permission from her to contact us and call us and tell us certain things. It was crazy. We were getting we had 50 different people writing to us all at once saying crazy stuff and calling us. And so,
well, my husband is not seeking that little girl out to text her, but yes, she has texted my husband before about car problems. Yes, she has called me and been like, hey, Miss Blank Blank, can Sean work on my car? And I'm like, yeah, text him and ask what's going on with it. Just call him or text him and see what's going on with it. Yeah. My husband's went out there and worked on her car. He's had to go actually I went and then he went when her car broke down. So like, I mean, if it was sexual, I would be like all day, every day. I don't like the way that he talked about her religion. I don't like that. I don't like a lot of things, but if there was anything that led me to believe that he had some sort of like lust for her, like, then I would be like, wait a minute, what the hell? You know? So you guys think that this is like Catch a Predator? Who in the chat thinks that this is like Catch a Predator? Or who in the chat thinks he made a big mistake because he was going off emotions, putting himself first with wanting to know, if this was Carly that made this decision and not thinking about, the ramifications or how it even would look. I'm not making excuses for him. This is the way that I feel. I think it was a huge mistake. I think he should not have done it. I think when people say that this is Catch a Predator, I think that's like blowing it overboard and it diminishes the people that actually go after young kids. Because just like with racist stuff, when people say, some comment that somebody did not know and wasn't educated, like, oh, you're racist. And I'm like, we got real racism here. Let's call that for what it is. And let's not somebody that did not know. You know what I'm saying? How did they meet on a game? No. So this friend, saw Erin, Caitlin and Tyler's friend, on TikTok and commented on her stuff and was like, you're wrong with the information that you have about Carly. You're wrong with the information that you have about Brandon and Teresa. Stop spreading it. They started talking. Elle, the girl, the minor, the alleged minor, and Erin. And then Erin said, do you want to talk to Caitlin and tell Caitlin this? Because this is the information that Caitlin and Tyler's getting. Do you want to talk to them? And she said, sure. And then she sought them out and talked to them. They did not seek her out. However, right, same, Nicole. As a mom of a 15-year-old girl, I would find it highly inappropriate and would be livid. However, I don't think he's a predator. But honestly, I mean, he hasn't been arrested for anything yet. I mean, I guess you do never know. But I mean, this person released months of messages between her and Tyler, and nothing was said like sexually inappropriate, in my opinion. Do I think it was right? No, not at all. Not at all. I don't like, a lot of the things that he said. I also think context matters, though. And I would like to see the other half of stuff that was left out. I think we're missing a lot because the messages were put out so out of order. Like one page didn't make sense to the next page. And I'm like, well, what was right here before he said this? Like, where is this? So I think context matters as well. And I would like to see the full context of the text. He says he's going to release them. And I'm like, can't wait. I want to see what they have to say. Still not saying it's right, but I would love to see more of what was said that was like not released. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's continue.
So, it was a lot. It was just a lot going on all at once. And so, yeah, I mean, I think as far as it comes down to is that people aren't going to pay attention to me saying I should have never continued the conversation as long as it did. That was definitely a foolish mistake on my part. And like I said, I never denied that my desperation for information and concern for her is what clouded my judgment. It definitely did. I'm a birth parent. I got cut off unexplainably. I got, these people telling me crazy stuff that she could possibly be being harmed. And so, yeah, I definitely think that I reacted emotionally and very just like, concerned. And so that clouded my judgment. I mean, that's something that I will not deny. And I think people are going to get confused because they're saying that, well, why didn't you reach out to anybody? Well, I did. Dawn knew about these people randomly calling me, pretending to be certain people. I would write Dawn and say, hey, can you confirm with Teresa if she has a coworker named blah, blah, blah. And you know what I mean? All this stuff that I'm hearing, and she would come back and say, no, that doesn't sound right. And so like, I did reach out to Dawn. I did let someone know about what was going on.
And I'm assuming throughout this time, Dawn has been in communication with Brennan and Teresa, so they are aware about what is going on. When you had because obviously you were in communication with Dawn about this. When you had brought this up, as soon as things started coming out, did Dawn tell you, like, hey, like Brennan and Teresa have been hearing this, they have concerns?
No, all she told me was that this is what's going on. This is what they're hearing. And I'm like, yeah, this is what's going on. Like, please tell them that we've had people calling us and writing us and so we can't contact, talk to them directly. So we have to kind of go through Dawn. And so, yeah, like we would be like, hey, Dawn, can you ask them this? This is what we're hearing. And, so it was just a lot of like, it was a whole mess of trying to verify and confirm multiple different people saying multiple different things, So yeah, I was going to continue talking to anybody who was going to continue giving me information so I could figure out what the hell is the truth, So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a method to the madness. I'm not saying what I did was right. I'm not saying what I did was excusable. I'm just giving more context and reasonings of why it played out the way it did. And so people can sit there and say all they want that they know what I was thinking in my own head. They know everything that really happened because they're reading a very biased viewpoint of redacted messages that have different time zones and blah, blah, blah. Like that's fine. I'm not here to convince anybody. What I'm here to do is to share the full scope of the truth.
Yeah.
And people, the public, can take that truth and do with it what they will, like they do anyway. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just here to speak the truth and give more context and reasonings of why everything happened the way it happened.
I heard the smack.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what else to tell everybody.
No, I hear you, and I appreciate you coming on and speaking, because I don't really have like really much to say, because I feel like a lot of people have already covered.
Hold on. All right, I'm gonna skip to where she asked, if you did not think they were minors, who did you think they were? And I'm just curious, how many people in the chat read the messages and thought, this can't be no kid? I'm just curious. Wait, I know we can do polls on here. Let me see if I can do a poll. Because I'm like, if we all thought that, couldn't he have thought that? I know I thought it. Not saying that it was right. I'm not taking away from the fact that he made a mistake. I just want to say that. But I can kind of believe that he might have at some point thought, this cannot be a freaking minor, Can the people in the chat not tell other people in the chat what to do? If somebody wants to deflect, let them deflect. I don't care. I don't care. Like, as long as nobody's being rude, and like everybody can have their own opinion. Jamie can deflect for them if she wants to. Like, you can say that you feel that it's this. Just watch our words, because we don't want YouTube to demonetize things or take the chat away for people watching on replay and the chat not pop up. But we're not going to tell people what they need to stop doing. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, whatever it may be. Okay? So let's stop trying to tell people what to say. We're going to do a poll. Blue, yes. Red, no. Just kidding. Ryan Anderson. I mean, anybody can have their opinion. I'm not telling you guys you can't. So just be respectful of everybody else's opinion. Even if your opinion is not the same as mine, I'll tell you why it's not the same. But I'm definitely not going to tell you you can't have your opinion. I don't care. So let's be respectful of everybody else. Yeah, I initially thought it was a minor. I'll say that. Initially, I thought okay, it's a minor. She's one of Carly's friends, right? Reading through them, thinking, okay, it's a minor. The more I see her, I'm like, wait, this girl's really mature. Wait, this girl, wait, she knows about Dr. Drew being on the Olsen twins as the dad. I wouldn't have even brought that up. If I'm talking to Tyler, I would not have even brought that up. Even if Dr. Drew comes up, I'm not thinking about that. I mean, honestly, for somebody to think about that, I would think they would have to be older than me for that to be something in their mind. I don't know. Like, why can I not see the poll? Did you believe Tyler was talking to a minor after reading the messages? Yes, 25%. 74% said no. So I'm like, maybe halfway through, he thought the same thing. Like, okay, never mind. Maybe this is an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, somebody. If we all got the feeling midway through that he was not talking to a minor, then maybe he did as well.
So if you didn't think that they were minors, who did you think that you were talking to?
So listen, so the way the way that they were speaking, and you saw how they spoke. It was like using words like I have an 18-year-old niece. Like I never heard no one say supper before. Anyway, there's certain things that they were speaking that I was like, there's just no way. Like I know for a fact this has got to be. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I really thought it was an older cousin. They just kind of had that like older cousin protective vibe, but like I'm so older and like I'm gonna like I don't know, it's different. So anyway, I really believed it was an older cousin until I heard some other words that they said a couple of weeks later when they reached out to me. Let's be clear, there's multiple times that they reached out to me with random information after I told them, hey, if you don't want to talk to me anymore, I suggest you block me or I can block you and we can just be done with this. Just throwing it out there. But anyway, yeah, so I really believed that it was an older cousin until they said certain stuff. I'm like, ooh, maybe they're like an older aunt because now they're sounding like even older than what I thought. So I always believed that it was someone closely related to her that definitely was not a minor.
Okay. And so when you guys were having like the conversations, right? Were any of them at like past 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock?
No, not that I can really recall because I go to sleep. I have 3 kids. I gotta get them up in the morning and get them ready for school. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I cannot recall any messages after like midnight, 11, anything like that because I don't stay up that late.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how people are like, didn't you make a statement? Yeah, I made a statement. Shove it up your ass. I made my statement. There you go.
All right. Next part is she asked, did you ever consider like doing like a wellness check? Since you were getting conflicting information on Carly, did you ever consider like trying to do a wellness check?
Reaching out to Dawn. What about like what's the thing that you do like when you're like checking for someone like a health check? Did you ever think of doing like a health check for Carly?
No, not, like what do you mean a health check? Like
Goose?
Like, if somebody tells
a wellness check,
like a wellness check. Yeah.
Well, listen. Here's the thing: is that why would I go do a wellness check when I have always used Dawn as kind of the media? Like she's always been the person to contact when anything happens with our adoption or whatever. I mean, she's always been the middle person. So I feel like going to Dawn would be the best route because she's directly connected to them, and she'd be like, hey, this is what's going on. And then as her parents, they can make whatever decisions they have to make based off of what Dawn tells them that we tell them. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I really felt like in my opinion, telling Dawn was just as the same as telling her parents myself of what was happening. Does that make sense? Like, so, I mean, who else better to talk to about protecting their child than the parent themselves? So no, I didn't really think to do a wellness check. Or like to call like a random anonymous CPS investigation or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Was it okay? So you just thought it was. By the way, it's just really funny because this was something that somebody had like that hated you was asking. Why didn't you do a wellness check? So I asked the question, and yet people didn't like that question. Isn't that funny? So God forbid I asked the question that you guys wanted me to fucking ask. But
sorry, you guys, we're watching another creator, so she may cuss at times. I don't know. I haven't watched all this. And we're not going to watch it either. There were just like the earlier things where he says that he has sent all of his messages to the police, a lawyer, an adoptee, therapist, somebody else. He has sent all his text message unredacted to them, you know, knowing like, yes, I messed up, acted on emotions, putting myself first, wanting to know about how Carly, you know, this was her decision, you know, how she's living, what situation she's in. I put all of that above, you know, just common sense, did that. But he did say he sent all of this to a police officer to see. And I think that's going to come out in the video with Melissa, Adoptee Thoughts. I think that interview, the 2-hour interview that comes out, I think we're going to hear maybe, hopefully, from this police officer. I know we're going to hear from a lawyer. So yeah, we'll listen to a little bit more and then we'll end it with that.
In this time, you thought you were talking to someone who was older. You didn't think that they were a minor. At this time, you thought you were talking to someone that was older.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it just was so apparent to me, you know, the way they talked was just, no way.
Okay. And so one of the last messages that was there was, from what I had seen, was that they had messaged you first, and they said, hey, Carly just had her dance or whatever. It like, she looks so beautiful, right? And then you had said, yeah, I saw them. She looked great, right? And that person messaged you and was like, oh, I wish I could send you pictures. Like all of these are things that were not shown on the internet.
Right. Yeah. These are messages of them reaching out to me saying these things.
Yeah. Yes. They reached out to you and they told you, hey, Carly just had her dance. She looks very beautiful. This is her thing, so that you guys are able to see it. Right. It was like, I don't want to give the name out there because
it was a specific thing that they said,
yeah,
go
I don't want to give the name of it, but they said, hey, you can go here so that you could find pictures of her. By the way, this person, this minor, this is what they told Tyler. Hey, if you want, go ahead and look at this because this is where you can find it. Okay.
So I saw that too. There was, and that's why I want to like see more of the messages, like how much was redacted, because, you know, while none of this should have happened, there's stuff redacted where the friend is like, hey, I want to send you a picture, but I can't on here. I wish your Instagram was working. Oh, you should have seen her. She looks so beautiful here. She's going to be posting a picture on this account. Like, be on the lookout for it if you want to see it, you know? So like, that's why I'm just like, I want to see the rest of this. Anybody else like that, you know, reading these, seeing everything redacted, really thinking like, okay, this person is protecting anybody else's identity. You know, maybe where they're talking about Carly's school, her social media accounts, it's being taken out, it's being removed. I understand that. But then when you see the parts where they're not redacted and it's not protecting anybody's identity, it's just seeing where she said things like, oh, I want to send you a picture, but I can't. Then I'm like, wait a minute. Why did you delete that? Like, why did you redact that?
Well, and not only that, this person also did write me and say stuff as far as long as like, have you got any pictures? Well, I'll try to send you some. I'm so sorry you're going through all this. You know, keep fighting, keep being vocal for her, keep fighting for her publicly, and all this stuff. So there's a lot of things that this person wrote to me that they're leaving out conveniently, in my opinion.
So you're agreeing it's a minor? No, he didn't agree that it was a minor.
No.
That this
person
sent him this stuff. So
and so like it's one of those things where it's like, I think a lot of the messages that they sent to me, reaching out to me, would explain a lot of my answers, or would explain a lot of why I'm talking about whatever I'm talking about. For instance, the whole religion thing.
It really doesn't make sense for Jenna to be Caitlin and Tyler. That makes no sense. If you really think about it, and I said this earlier, why would Caitlin and Tyler be Jenna? Like, what would be the point of that, you know? I don't even wonder, like, is it Carly? Like, I don't know. But if it is, Brandon and Teresa don't know about it, because Dawn reached out to Brandon and Teresa and was like, this is what's going on. Did you guys know about any of it? Has anybody come to you? And they're like, we think they're scammers. Like, so Dawn reported back to Caitlin and Tyler that Brandon and Teresa think that these people reaching out to Caitlin and Tyler are scammers, which means this person releasing all these messages never went to Brandon and Teresa with these messages, never went to them to say, can I release these messages? And if you really cared about Carly, you would have got permission to release them. Was the surface level, because Jenna was saying the things that they wanted to hear. Oh, that Carly wants you guys, that Carly wants to talk to you guys, that Carly misses you guys. Yeah, but when they said prove who you are, she couldn't. If this was Tyler pretending to be a friend so they could put these messages out to prove a point, see, even, we have Carly's friends coming to us telling us that Carly wants a relationship with us, that Carly wants to talk to us, but she's not being allowed. Then they would have proved that Jenna was legit. When they said, Jenna, what is Carly's middle name? They could have blocked it out, but Caitlin would have said, oh, yep, actually, that is her middle name. Not a lot of people know that. Cool, okay. Hey, can you go get a picture with Carly tomorrow to prove that you're real? It would have, maybe Caitlin and Tyler would have took a picture together, and then they would have blotted it out, and Caitlin would have responded, oh, wow, that's you on the right. That's definitely Carly. Okay, you're real. And then they would have continued texting, this fairy tale of all these lies to put out to the public. They literally bombed if this is Caitlin and Tyler trying to be Jenna. Because in the messages that were put out, Jenna could not prove that she was who she said she was. So if that was them, they did a horrible job. I don't think anybody's thinking that far through. Like, they're thinking, oh, it must have been Caitlin and Tyler because it proved their narrative that Carly wants to have a relationship with them. But it also proved that this was obviously a catfish.
That was a response to them saying our parents are very controlling down here. All girls are expected to have kids very young, as many as they can, and just weird things like that, to where I inevitably would respond and be like, whoa, and then explain my thoughts on all that. So there's a lot of I'm not saying that the conversations should have happened in the first place. I'm saying there's a reason why they happened the way they did. Because like I said, there was multiple times throughout the time you were communicating where I was like, hey, let's stop talking. If you're uncomfortable or whatever, you're like, let's just stop talking. And then they'd be fine, I will. And then also, they would contact me a week later and say, hey, something random to really elicit a response out of me clearly. And so, and then they would write me randomly and say, hey, Carly's not allowed to talk about her adoption, all this weird stuff. A lot of the messages in my explanations and talking points.
So Ray, you read them. Is that what happened? Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Thank you. Okay?
That's exactly what happened. I'm telling you guys, I asked Tyler for the messages a couple days ago, and I read through them, and that shit was exhausting as fuck. I told Tyler, I was like, damn, this is too long. I was like, you did this for too fucking long. Okay, I told him. And I said, when I was reading them, I was like, God damn, because it was so many of the minor reaching out to Tyler multiple times. It was like one thing after the other, after the other, after the other. Oh my God, did you guys see this? Oh my God, what about this? The other thing that I told Tyler, which he was kind of like, huh? Like it completely out of sight, was this minor said, hey, like, how weird that Dr. Drew was on TV. Is he really a good guy? And Tyler said, yeah, he's a good guy. And the minor said, well, isn't it just weird that he was in movies? And Tyler was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And the minor said, yeah, he was in Mary-Kate and Ashley. I'm a 90s baby.
Yeah.
I'm a 90s baby. I was Mary-Kate and Ashley, biggest.
I'm a late 80s baby. And I still would not have thought about that. That is weird. That is one thing that's really weird.
Fan, love them, right? What kid that's 16 years old is talking about Mary-Kate and Ashley?
Honestly, I thought the same thing. And like I said, when I'm responding to these people, and I don't know if you could tell, Ray, but this is me kind of like, hey, I just got to keep them talking. If they're talking to me, I got to keep them talking so that way I can get more information about Carly and make sure that everything's fine and her emotional well-being is good. And so, like I said, I felt like I was very annoyed having that back and forth about Dr. Drew, because I'm like, this is so stupid. I don't want to be talking to you about random stuff that has to do with Dr. Drew. I want to talk to you about things that are important. And the whole reason why I'm talking to you in the first place is to get other information completely. So, but you could see that that almost, okay, so in my opinion, when we were talking about Dr. Drew, it was almost like they wanted me to say, yeah, he's a bad person. I don't know. It felt like they were trying to get me to like say something
That makes sense.
bad about him or something. It was very weird. I'm like, I don't, I was like, he had an agent. He probably did a movie. Like, what?
Oh my goodness, that would be crazy if it's Amber Portwood. I don't think it's anybody like that. Am I messing up about Dr. Drew? Yes, Dr. Drew was in a movie 100 years ago where he played the Olsen twins' dad. And the fact that a 16, 17-year-old knows this is very weird. That's just what people's pointing out. And that's where Tyler is saying that's one thing that like made him think, okay, I'm definitely not talking to a kid here. I'm definitely talking to like maybe an aunt of Carly's or like someone older in her life, maybe an older cousin, an aunt, because what 16-year-old knows about Dr. Drew playing in an Olsen twins movie as their dad? I mean, even though I did, oh my goodness, I haven't thought about that ever. I've never thought about it. I watched it, but since I watched it since that day, I've never thought about that. Even though I've seen Dr. Drew 1,000,001 times, I never thought like, oh yeah, remember that time he played the Olsen twins' dad? Even though I watched the movie, still never brought back to that moment. The fact that like that's so weird to me. I don't know. It's just so weird.
Why do you like? What's the big deal? I guess like I don't know. It's just very strange. The vibe that I got.
I just thought it was weird because I just thought that was weird because I was like first of all, like Mary Kate and Ashley were not like super. I mean, they were kind of like big in the 90s. Like they were like this big thing or whatever. But, and for those of you that are like, well, I watched movies that were in the 60s and 70s. Okay. Me too. I've watched Gone with the Wind. Like I've watched those shows for sure. Like, but it was just weird. Like, how did you know that Dr. Drew, I didn't even know who Dr. Drew was back then. I had no idea. But anyway, a lot of people are asking about Erin. Okay. And what happened to her, why she
no, I think it's all weird. Yeah, but I get what you're saying. Like, oh, Tyler thought that was weird, but not the fact that he was talking to a minor for months. Good point. I think it was all weird. I mean, I think it was all like, that was something that perked me up for a second to be like, wait a minute, but yeah, definitely shouldn't have happened.
Deleted her social media.
Listen, Erin has done nothing wrong. She deleted her social media because people were threatening her and her family, and so she made the right decision to just get all. Like she's like, this isn't worth it for me. I'm out of here. And I think
wait a minute. Gone with the Wind is about racism. Explains a lot, bitch.
Oh, I didn't see this part, but when people don't like you, they always say something. They come for your parenting. They say you're racist. It's always something.
So that's clearly not the same time zone that me and Bray and Teresa all live. We all live in the Eastern time zone. So that didn't make any sense. So no, Jenna is still unverified. We don't know who she is. All I do know, I
do think people's like misunderstanding is just like out of my pure like curiosity to want to know like what's actually going on is why I'm like questioning the truth about this. Like I want to know the truth. Like, does it diminish what he did? No. And I don't want people thinking like, oh, Elle's making excuses for them, trying to act like this was like a catfish. No, I can sit here and say all day long, he thought it was a minor, even if it was initially, okay? Should have stopped the conversation. The second this person reached out to them saying, hey, I'm a friend of Carly's, should have been, and I've said this a million times, and I guess some people will just never get it, but it doesn't mean that I can't talk about all this other stuff and question all of this other stuff. Yes, that can be wrong, but I can still say, what is up with this? What is up with that? Is this person who she says she is? Why is Brandon and Teresa saying they think it's a scammer? That tells us right there, this person never went to Brandon and Teresa with these messages, which means they never got permission to post them. Which means if this is a great friend of Carly's, they did not give two craps about the fact that they were about to expose all of this behind her back. We'll listen to a little bit more and then we're going to cut it off.
Learning more and more as this investigation goes on that she was 2 hours behind us in Mountain Time. And so I don't know who the hell she is. I don't know who this other quote unquote minor is. I don't know who E is. Like I don't know any of these people.
Was Erin following Carly on social media?
No, see, I think people are confused about, like, I think they believe that so the truth is I knew about Carly's social media accounts for months and months. And why would I tell anyone, why would I announce that to anyone? Like I didn't follow her. I didn't request it because I'm like, I'm just going to be, it's out there. Like, it's fine. It is what it is. It was actually the person texting me, messaging me, this quote unquote alleged minor messaging me saying, hey, go follow Carly's account, like go follow it. And I was like, whoa, I didn't want to follow it because I didn't want to put any pressure on her. Like, it's
Now, y'all listen to this. This person, this Carly's friend, that's like, she wants space from y'all. This person messaging Kate and Ty saying she wants space from y'all. Leave her alone for a while. Just don't talk about her. Literally told Tyler, go follow her on social media. Like, do you know her? Do you know her? Do you know her handle? Go follow her. And Tyler's like, well, I don't know. Is that what she wants? Did she tell you that she wants me to follow her? Like, I don't know if I should. So things like this happen where this person encouraged Tyler to do things while meantime also telling him not to do things. Like, really weird. Like, what? That's what I'm just so confused by it. You know what I'm saying?
fine. I don't need to, like, and they were very adamant for me to go do that. So I did. And then I realized, like, no, and then it's fine. And then I just was like, no, I don't want to do it anymore, because I felt like once she denied that request, I was like, that is enough proof for me. Okay. Like, why would you tell me to do that? Pretty much is why I got kind of upset with this other person telling me to do that. Because I'm like, why would you do that? Like, I didn't want to do that. But anyway, so once that happened, I just was like totally removed myself, and that was it. Like, I'm not, but like, you know, she has social media accounts, people, and she's had them. And the really sad part about all these other creators talking about it all the time is that, you know, people are seeking her out. They found it. And so, you know, and like when I first saw that her picture got leaked, I immediately was like, hey, like, Dawn, her picture is leaked. Like, what, like, please, like, let whoever needs to know, like, it's out there. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know what was going on. And that kind of freaked me out. So there's a whole bunch of, I think, stuff that people don't know or realize. And I hopefully when this interview comes out, everything is just kind of put out there. No, you know, no stone unturned is what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah. Okay, so Aaron didn't try to follow Carly, you're saying?
No, see, Aaron, she was the one who was talking to me about adoptees, how they feel and all that kind of stuff. So I don't really know, as far as Aaron goes, how she wants to be involved, or if she wants to. Like, I feel like it's kind of not right for me to say anything about Aaron, especially after she deleted her, you know, she's getting death threats. Like, I'm like, and she's a very good person, a very good friend. I have no interest in kind of like having her be involved any more than she needs to be, because
was she following them? She was or she wasn't? Does he not know? Because if he doesn't know, he can say, I don't know if she was following them. I heard that she was. It's since been said. Because, I mean, that's your friend. I would ask her, was you following her on social media? You know what I'm saying? Like, was you following her on social media? I mean, maybe because they're friends, he don't want to, like, out the fact that she was. But if she was, that was uncalled for. Aaron should have never been following Carly on social media. Not at all.
Her involvement was not at all. So, I mean, when you look at the grand scheme of things, it was nothing. So for me personally, I'm not here to even, you know, really talk about her, because it's not right. Like,
she's not here to be able to share.
Yeah. And I feel like that's not really right of me to do that. I think if she ever wants to make a statement herself, she can. But I think what people don't understand is that she is a great person. She is, you know, just trying to just be a normal person, and just, you know, that's why she deleted us. Like, she's not invested in this stuff. She's like, oh, I'm out. I get death threats and, you know, threats about me and my family. I'm gone. Yeah. And I'm like, yes, protect your peace. Get the hell out of there. You know?
Yeah.
Like, for sure.
Yeah.
So
No,
I just don't feel like it's right to even be talking about her with, you know what I mean? Like, she's not even here.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah. So.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Read them all.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Oh,
what
wow.
about, okay, so people said
You're in Amber Portwoods area.
that you got your knee. And again, this is up to you, right, to answer. But somebody said that you tried to get your niece to follow Carly.
Okay, yeah, and I have no problem. That's actually factual, and the reason why is because there was multiple accounts that like you couldn't really tell if it was her or not, and I'm over here thinking, well, it could be someone pretending to be her, and so I was like, Lex, like, my niece, like, you're her age group. I'm thinking, you see if this person's legit or not, and that's as far as it ever went. She accepted Lex's request and then never answered her, so I was like, all right, I'm not gonna like forget it, you know what I mean? Like, it's fine. Well, let's let it go. And I honestly, I'm not following any of them because my personal thought was if she has these accounts, I don't want to risk her freedom of having these accounts by me trying to reach out to them. So I was like not doing it myself. I definitely wasn't, but I wanted my niece to see if it was real because there's like 4 or 5 of them that I saw that had different pictures. I'm like, I don't
Yeah, he's saying his niece followed Carly on socials.
know. And then this one that was like
his niece lives with him or lives with him. I'm not sure. And Carly apparently accepted the follow, is what he's saying.
A picture that must have got off of Google or something of Carly when she was way little. And I'm like, that's clearly not really her. Like, but it's weird that people were trying to pretend to be her by using a like little kid picture of her, which is so strange.
Yeah. I'm confused. Sorry, I'm getting confused by the comments because people are saying like you risked her freedom, but I thought that Teresa and Brandon gave her freedom. So I don't understand, like, why would she need any freedom? Like, if she's not being secluded. That doesn't make, do you see what I'm saying? Like, I have these questions, right? Like, I have these questions. Let me in then. No, you're being very, like, aggressive. So once you're relaxed, then yeah, but I'm not going to allow people to come into my space and, like, yell at me or,
well,
like,
yeah, they can go be aggressive.
Unfortunately, you guys, creators are not even creators, but other people that are invested in this. And listen, I'm invested in this too. I've watched this show from day one. I have my opinions. I'm just not an aggressive person, though. Like, the only time I get aggressive is when it comes to my kids, clearly, and my parenting, clearly. But I usually don't get aggressive over like this kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I realize it's other people's lives. No matter what I do or say is not going to change what they have going on over there. I can give my opinions, but there are creators that literally, and other people, literally, that's come in my chat that's just so like mad, because we won't say what they want us to say, and it's just like, calm down, say your opinion, in the chat on your platform, and don't try to force other people to, because that's controlling and weird.
In their space.
Yeah, like, go be mad over there.
Go.
Her social media freedom. Okay. So her social
that's what I mean. Like, I didn't want to jeopardize that. If her parents are allowing her to have social media, awesome. I don't want to jeopardize that by, making her parents nervous or anything like that. And also, and people can agree or disagree or whatever. I also didn't know if her parents knew about her having social media. So I'm definitely not going to ruin that for her if that's what, you know what I mean? Like, so I was staying away. I'm not reaching out to her. I'm not messaging her. I'm not doing any of that. So it was not worth it for me.
Okay. So, I mean, do you think it was like the best move to make?
See, that's what I thought I heard. Well, I was told that. I was told that she didn't have a social media or couldn't have a phone. Did they ever say that? I'm not sure. Maybe. Did he say that somewhere? Maybe like on the podcast or something? I know I was told that. And unfortunately, I was given false information by somebody that verified a lot of information, which is weird because these people are like digging into Carly and her parents and finding out where they work and the school. This is weird. Can we not do that? Please don't do that.
To try to friend her?
Yeah.
Oh, hell, it was not the right move to make. And I even said this. And that's why I was actually so
you're telling me this and I'm like, why? Why would you do that?
Correct, because this person's saying you need to reach out to her Instagram. I'm telling you, you should reach out to Instagram. And if she accepts you and talks to you, then you know. And I even wrote this alleged person back and I said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to put any unnecessary pressure on her. I think even seeing her friend request for me would be like, oh, so I'm not doing that. And they're like, no, you really need to. You really need to. She wants to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. Like, it was just a lot. Like, looking back.
Okay, so this alleged minor allegedly encouraged Tyler to send a friend request. And when Tyler was like, oh, are you sure? I don't know if she wants me. And the friend is like, oh, yeah, you should. So, I mean, not that Tyler should have been having a conversation to begin with, but since he's there, putting myself in his frame of mind, since he's there, if my biological daughter has been cut off from me and her friend is saying, you should send her a friend request, I'm going to think she may have some inside information that that's what she wants. Like, oh, well, she must want me to have it. She must want me to send, her friend has encouraged me to send a friend request. So her friend must know that maybe Carly told her friend to tell me to do it. You know what I'm saying? So I would definitely start thinking that at that point, if her friend is saying you need to send her a friend request, you should, I would be like, no, I don't think I should. I don't think she wants it. I think you should. Then I might be like, oh, well, maybe she told her friend to tell me that.
Now, oh my God, they really I knew I shouldn't have because I didn't want to.
You need to follow your intuition.
Yes, and I didn't, and it's because and like I said, that's accountability. Like, the idiot fool, like I never should have did that. Like that was so stupid, and I knew in my gut that I didn't want to do it. And when you have someone saying though, hey, you should, I know where she wants this. I mean, what am I don't know. Being a birth parent, it's just so dude, it's just difficult to be in this position, honestly.
I know. And it's so funny because everybody, the one thing, and let's just get this out for the 700 people that are in here. I am not a parent. Okay. But that doesn't mean I lack common sense. Okay. So just putting that out there, but I wouldn't want to be in that position. I can't imagine that position. So I don't know. I don't know what I would do. Now, personally, I probably, after a certain amount of messages, would have been like, but,
no, right.
like, this is just,
that's
weird.
And no, that's the part that I take accountability for, that yes, it went on way too long, way longer than it ever should have. And that's something that I'll have to just live with for the rest of my life. Obviously, like there's really no excuse for that other than I had to keep him talking and I was concerned. And so that's still not excusable. Like that I completely understand that. And like, if anything, to me personally, the most upsetting thing to me about all of this was how it affected the adoptee community and how it affected a community that welcomed me with open arms, that I was trying to come in and elevate and advocate for. And I think like that was the most heartbreaking thing to me. I mean, that's the stuff that I just cried about for days, because I was like, oh my God, like this is the worst thing that could ever happen. Like, these beautiful, innocent people came and tell their stories, and like now they're getting, yelled at and ridiculed for being associated with us. And it was just,
I think that's crazy. I think if you're going to attack someone because they went on Kate, first off, anybody, even if they disagree with Kate and Tyler, like these TikTok adoptees that maybe have 10,000 followers, but they were invited to go to Kate and Ty's podcast to talk about their story. Why would they not? That's a huge platform where you could grow your following. So you could continue to tell your story. Even if they don't agree with everything that Kate and Tyler's done, like, why not go? But now all these people like are getting attacked because they have been on their podcasts and stuff. And it's like, let's not attack people that literally saw a smart move and made it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they definitely did something wrong. I would be livid if this was my child, if this was my biological child and somebody was talking to them, encouraging them to lie, hide things from me, even if it wasn't in a sexual manner, but if it was just in a, like, oh, well, send up, don't tell your mom that, whatever the case was. It's hard to, whatever the case may be, I would be livid if this was my biological daughter, adopted child, and her bio parents was doing this. I would not trust them anymore. I mean, if I'm Brandon and Teresa and I'm reading those messages, all trust for them is gone. Now they got to figure out how to get that back. There was already, there was already a brokenness there. And now it's really broken. Like, can they come back from this? I don't even know. But I'm just so confused over like who this other person is. And if Brandon and Teresa are saying, we think you guys got scammed, we think you guys got scammed, we don't know anything about this. That means this person did not consult with Brandon and Teresa and Carly about these messages. The last thing that the creator put up, I'll jump over here. We're going to end that one there because I'm not going to show all of another creator's video. It is linked in the description box if you guys want to go check it out. All right, so Caitlin and Tyler E. Let's be clear. They were talking to Elle, not E. I kept referring to Elle, and somebody commented and was like, you don't even know what you're talking about. It wasn't Elle, it was E. Elle is the person that he was chatting with, the alleged minor. E is the adult that's releasing these. So all the messages, as you guys can see, have been deleted. Gone. They deleted everything, which, why did you delete everything? I'm like, what's going on with that? And then they put this up earlier today. Busy morning here in Europe/Africa. The jet lag you get from being on 2 continents at once, maybe even 3, while I'm visiting my niece/cousin in the States is quite intense. But Carly's aunt/cousin/uncle is hard. Being Carly's aunt/cousin/uncle is hard work. It's important that we remind ourselves, however, that it, oh, hold on. It's important that we remind ourselves, however, that it could always be worse. You could be Tyler Baltierra, for example. Sunny greetings from the North Pole. Stay safe, everyone. And I'm like, and that makes me maybe think that you're like in the hater community, or maybe you are a child, or like if you're Carly and this is your friend, like even if I'm like pissed off at the people that I love, would I, or maybe not even love, maybe she don't love them. I don't know, but she knows that they are. I get what the post is for. I know what the post means. I know why they're saying that. But the end of it, you have to remind yourself that it could always be worse. You could always be Tyler. Like if I was Carly and this is my friend, I'd be like, okay, I'm upset with them. Like, yeah, and what they did was wrong, but like that was out of line. It's a lot. I don't know, like any of my family members. How exactly? How is this post helping Carly? How is the post really helping Carly? And how does Carly feel about it? So that's why when I read that, I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like, that's weird to say that. If you're Carly's like good friend, wouldn't you be concerned with how she may take that? Like anybody, good friend of yours that you fought with, that you had a falling out. Well, one of your other friends like pop off something about them. Aren't you going to be like, whoa, hold up a minute? Any family member that you have, you might can say whatever about them, but you don't want nobody else to. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. This really makes me question like who this person is and if they really are. Well, for one, you know, according to Dawn, Brandon and Teresa think these are scammers. So that, I don't know. But anyways, you guys, these people clearly do not care about Carly. How did anything that Tyler said on the live last night help Carly? I don't know if at this point, if it's even really to try to help Carly. I think he knows that's messed up. But I think at this point, because he's being accused of, certain things, I think he wants to put everything out there. Explain like, hey, you know what? Yep, made mistakes. Yep, done something dumb. But I've sent so the thing is Brandon and Teresa hasn't contacted law enforcement. These other people haven't contacted law enforcement. Tyler did. Tyler contacted law enforcement to say, this is what I did. This is the situation. Here's all my text messages. Let me know if I did something wrong. An attorney. This is the situation. Here's the text messages. Did I do something wrong? Did I do something illegal? You know what I'm saying? So like law enforcement has been made aware of it, but on the other side, not Brandon and Teresa. Vicky says, I'm old school, and why I think that minors shouldn't have unsupervised social media. Parents are responsible for minors, or they were 100 years ago, Elle. I love that comment, 100 years. Sorry. And well, that's what I said. That's if you believe Tyler. If you believe that, that what he is saying is true, is some may not, and some may. However, he says it's all going to come out, and that's what I'm waiting for. I'm like, I want to see it, because if we can see the other half of those messages, what was redacted that didn't make sense to be redacted, what, when one slide talked about this thing and then the next slide is something completely different. And I want to see that. Context matters. Does it change the fact that he did something he shouldn't have done? No, not at all. Not at all. I wasn't trying to argue with you. I didn't know that I said anything. Did I say something? I didn't know. I was just responding to comments. Definitely not trying to argue with anybody unless you come from my parenting. Then I might say something. But yeah, I'm ready for him. Like, I want to see, and like, screen record it. Just screen record it, because screen recording is the best way. Okay, good. Because I'm like, not trying to argue either. Screen record your side, because screen recording is the best way to prove that they are authentic. Just scroll. That way we know, okay, he didn't edit nothing. He didn't mess with nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, put him out. But yeah, I'm just a little curious about the other side of this. Not saying that what he did was wrong, right? Definitely not that. Don't get it twisted. It should have been like, have your mom contact me. I appreciate you for reaching out on behalf of Carly. Can you have your mom contact me? Yeah. But I'm very curious. I would love for B&T to come out and say something. I would love for B&T to put out some sort of statement to say, yes, we know this person. No, we don't know this person. According to Dawn, what Dawn told Tyler, what Tyler said in Ray's video is they think Kate and Ty was scammed. They sure can. I just don't understand how making up Jenna would benefit them. I really don't. So anybody, like, I really don't. Like, when you first think about it, it's like, oh, well, Jenna painted the narrative that they wanted to hear, that she wanted a relationship with them. But then Jenna couldn't prove herself. Jenna actually bombed at proving herself, which told everybody Jenna was a catfish. So like, if they wanted to pretend to be somebody that was friends with Carly, then they would have, on the other side of those messages, they would have proved that they were a real person. They would have proved that they knew Carly. When Caitlin would have said, what's her middle name? She would have said, oh, it's this. And Caitlin would have said, oh, wow, you're correct. Not a lot of people know that. Well, what street does she live on? She would have said, oh, she lives on this street. But every time that Caitlin asked her to verify something, she had the wrong information. So yeah, there's something fishy with this, and I'm trying to sniff it out, but MTV probably said, I know they're waiting. They can't film right now. Well, Jenna came out first. Yeah, Jenna didn't make them look good either. But Jenna came out first. The messages with Jenna came out first, and then all these dropped. But if they were trying to look good, they would have pretended to be a child and said, don't talk to us. We can't talk to you. Have your mom contact us. Because Jenna didn't really make them look good either, because Caitlin was literally like, take pictures. Can you take a picture? Jenna didn't make them look good either. Also, the other side said they have 100% proof. Why haven't we seen the proof? I don't understand why you wouldn't scream that to the rooftops to show they contacted the authorities. I don't understand. Yeah, and if they contacted the authorities, there should be some sort of case number. Kate and Ty will be contacted. They would contact them to question them. I don't think they have. MTV, they want a reunion episode. The storyline was messed up. Yeah, I think MTV is like, dang it, can we get this lawsuit out of the way and get sold to whoever's going to buy so we can pick up filming? they're, yeah. Okay, Jamie, I'm glad you asked this again because you asked this earlier, but I didn't want to like stop and change the topic. What's your take on CNT not watching the video of Carly singing on the show? It was talked about a few times in the chat. Okay, my opinion is I don't even know. I don't know because I don't know what Carly wanted. My opinion is whatever Carly wanted is what I wish they would have done. If Carly wanted them to watch it while being filmed, and that's the only way she wanted it to be watched, then that's what I wish they would have done. Honestly, positively artsy, I'd be wondering. Really, I thought that too. Like, maybe, or is this the same person? Maybe, like, this person reached out to kind of debunk what the other person was saying, just because they said all this started happening around the same time. I think they were getting calls, they were getting this, they were getting that. Well, see, that was never said on air. That was said behind the scenes, right? They didn't say it on air. That I think it was said like, um, she sent you this gift. I would like to watch it with you guys. From my understanding, can Carly sue all of them in MTV? I don't think so. Not to my, I'm not a lawyer. Don't let me get to pretending to know the law. I mean, I sued somebody once. I sued the police, but I still don't know nothing about this. I mean, she is their biological child. She was on the show, so you cannot stop anybody from saying your name. Unfortunately, that's why me as a creator, if somebody wants to go make a video about me talking crap about me, I can't stop them unless they're like harassing me. I can't stop them though. We can say other people's names. We can talk about them all day. That's why I can sit here and talk about Kate and Tyler. That's why other people that don't like Caitlin and Tyler can do videos on them, and Caitlin and Tyler can't do anything because freedom of speech. If you start defaming people and you lie on them, yet not saying that like it's morally okay if she feels like she's being treated like property and that they are profiting off of her story. If she feels that way, then that sucks. But legally, I don't think there's anything you can do with it. Maybe so, positively artsy. But the song thing is okay. When it happened, Dr. Drew, oh, we got this surprise for you guys. It's a video of her singing or audio of her singing. I would like to, watch it with you guys. From my understanding, what took place is Caitlin was like, well, can we pause and watch it? Like, I don't think we're supposed to watch this on the show, right? And they were like, no, actually, you can watch this on the show. And they were like, okay, well, we still want to like pause and watch it by ourselves. Can we watch it by ourselves? And they were like, actually, you can't. You can only watch it if you watch it while we film. And so they decided to take a break from filming. Later on, they asked for the link to watch it by themselves, and they were told you cannot. The only way you can watch it is if it is filmed by MTV. And they said that's like from B&T, right? So I think Caitlin and Tyler is like, well, how do we know this is what Carly wants? Surely Carly wanted us to have this. They also were like, B&T don't want us to talk publicly about Carly. Everybody's telling us to stop talking about her, stop talking about her. Well, if we play this audio, this is going to drum up more conversation about Carly, and then we're going to get in trouble. People are going to be like, Brandon and Teresa, here they are. They broke another boundary. They don't want, they play that audio. I bet Brandon and Teresa didn't want them to play the audio. So then they would have got a lot of heat. It would have drummed up them having to discuss, Carly more. And so they didn't quite understand it. However, whatever Carly wanted, if she wanted them to keep it and have it forever, then that's what I think should have happened. If she only wanted it played with the show rolling, whatever. That's what okay. Her life has been talked about a lot on the show. So if for a moment she just wanted to be able to sing on the show, I can kind of understand that. Yeah. Yeah, that shocked me, Gina. Yeah, they were refused the link. So that, yeah. From my understanding, Caitlin and Tyler did not know anything other than Dr. Drew was reaching out to Brandon and Teresa, and that after he had talked to them, they knew nothing. They knew nothing about a song. They knew nothing about a gift. They were told on air, from my understanding. I could be wrong. That they were told on air, we have a gift. It's a video of her singing. I'd like to watch it with you guys. And they were like, hold up. Like her singing on the show? Like, we can't record this. Surely her parents don't want this to be on air. They don't want us even talking about her. Like, we can't do this. And they were like, no, actually, they said you could. And they were like, well, can we do it by ourselves first? Because this is going to be emotional for us. So can we just watch it by ourselves without the cameras? And they were like, actually, you can't. You either have to watch it on the show with us filming or you don't watch it at all. That's what, was reported. And I think maybe, really, more people thought it was a minor. Okay. All right, you guys. They just need to let the minor be and have a private life. Her parents can worry about her. I agree, Dash. Oh, 51. I don't know. It seems like half of us think that after reading some of the messages, we thought that it was no longer a minor. I'm sorry, but at the root of this, B&T agreed to open adoption when they weren't prepared to feel this action that started with all this full stop spread behavior minors. It's Britt coming in with feeling like B&T are not holding up their end of the deal. Rebecca says, I know about gag orders because of my crazy ex trying to get one on me on social media. It was wild. Yeah, could they give Caitlin and Tyler a gag order and say you can't talk? I think gag orders are only during legal cases, like or if you're going through a criminal case or something, right? Can you just get a gag order on anybody? Maybe a restraining order. But I know where I live, and I'm not speaking for every place. Where I live, the only way you can even get a restraining order is if you prove that this person is a threat to you, a physical threat to you. Like, oh my goodness. I tried to get a restraining order one time on this creator that used to talk about me on social media, used to accuse me of child abuse. I mean, come on. Really? Used to accuse me of CA, right? I went to the police. They're like, really nothing we can do. I'm like, can I get a restraining order on him to stop him from defaming me? They're like, not really. You can sue him for defamation. You don't want to do that with my 6 kids. That costs way too much money. I don't know, Sophie. I don't understand what the message was for CNT from BNT with the video of her singing, and why would BNT want them to watch it on the show? Yeah, that's something. That's why I do wish BNT would speak up a little bit more. Honestly, I do think a lot. I think they could bring a calm to this storm if they just did a little bit of an interview. Not saying they have to, it's their decision, but I do think they could bring a little bit of a calm to the storm if they sat down and said, "This is what's happened. This is not what happened. This is what we know. This is what we don't know. And this is what we want. Moving forward, can you guys respect that?" You know, I feel dumb, but I also don't get it either. I don't. You have a high burden of proof to prove it's harmful to your life, your reputation, so forth. Yeah, it is very hard. Three girls, let everything cool down, but highly doubt they'll make too much money. Well, right now they're not filming at all. And when they do come back, well, Caitlin and Tyler said, when the show does come back, they're going to be very vague when it comes to Carly. I really wasn't expecting so many people to think it was a minor. Neither was I. Because I was like, there's honestly, listen, and I read the messages with with people like coming for me. They're talking to minors. Why have you called them out? They're talking to minors. I used to have a lot of respect for you. I don't anymore because you haven't called them out. And I'm like, I'm a busy person. I had my daughter's birthday, a doctor's appointment. I was only covering stuff that I could cover quickly because I was just so busy. It wasn't that I was like not trying to cover it, right? So when I did finally read them, I'm like, this doesn't sound like a minor anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like I had not seen any other comments from people saying that. I actually seen quite the opposite. People saying they're talking to minors. So then I'm reading them and I'm like, oh, is this a minor? This is a very smart minor. which, I mean, I got some smart kids, but they still probably wouldn't talk like that, except maybe my son is autistic. He has a wide range of vocabulary, but at his age, he wouldn't. Maybe if he was like 16 or 17, maybe. Okay, I'm curious about if you think that the adoptive parents think CNT are a threat because of MTV celebrities, their wealth, as he says, which is not me. I don't think, this is my honest opinion, I don't think that B&T ever looked at them as a threat as far as like their celebrity status, their money. They may have thought, well, what if she wants to live with them one day because they're famous? And maybe, she sings. Maybe she wants to, maybe one day she'll want to live with them, so they can help her with her singing career. That might be something that would be normal. I mean, me as a mom that raised my two older kids and their dad wasn't really in their life. There was times where I'm like, well, what if they want to go stay, like live with him at one point, just because I'm, he's never around and I'm the parent that has to discipline them. I'm the parent that has to tell them no. So like, what if one day so I thought, maybe that could be the case. I never thought that they thought they were a threat other than in that way. Like, oh, maybe she'll want to go live with them because they're famous. Maybe she'll want to be on TV, something like that. But Carly seems very, I don't know, just on the videos and the pictures, she seems like really sure of herself. And like, if she does want to do that, I don't feel like she would even go that route about it. I feel like she would want to be, I feel like Carly would be one of those girls that would be like, I want to make a name for myself outside of that. You know what I'm saying? I think he would say, outside of that, I want to make a name for myself. But I do think if they read all these messages, they could maybe now be like, oh crap, Caitlin and Tyler would encourage Carly's friends to help her sneak behind our back to, oh my goodness, this necklace, to talk to us. I think that might definitely make them feel a certain type of way. Salt, pepper, you could be right. They may feel that way. Well, B&T didn't get the police involved. T did. Tyler. I don't think B&T have contacted the police over this, not to my knowledge. If I find out that they have, I'll definitely let you guys know. Isn't this funny? JC says, kind of frustrated you weren't acting like you were totally taking sides with CNT days before the news came out. Who's acting like that? Who's acting like that? I've actually said that multiple times. I mean, honestly, if you watch some of my videos where I've covered this, I've actually talked about that. I've talked, and maybe you've missed that. So I'm going to give you grace here that maybe you've missed where I've said I was reporting this way because of information I was getting. Someone contacted me and had information that nobody should have known. Names, addresses, phone numbers, pictures that nobody had seen, and gave me this information. So yes, I reported on it one way and I've not acted that way. I've actually said it. I've actually acknowledged it. I actually said the other day, like, hey, I gotta acknowledge this, that I did do this. I actually even said it in this video, that I was one of the ones talking this way. And then you had other people saying the opposite because people that was reaching out to them and telling them this. So honestly, rather than being frustrated with me, I think you should maybe just watch more of my content on me covering this so you can see that I actually did say that. Because I absolutely did. Actually, definitely acknowledged it. On every video that I've done about them, I've said that. So thank you, Hannah. But I mean, if you do this and thank you for covering that comment. You are welcome. But if you do this for a living, right? And then you have somebody reach out to you in your email and they say, this is who I am. This is what I know. This is the information that I have to prove who I am. I mean, we have a duty to prove, like to vet our sources. Just because somebody messages me and they say, I'm X, Y, and Z, and this is the information that I have, I can't just run with that. I don't. I have people message me stuff all the time, and I do not run with it. you know? I heard the way you mentioned in this video. Well, in this video, I said I reported one way. I was one of the ones saying that she was not allowed a phone, that she was not allowed a social media, that she wanted to see her parents and they weren't letting her. I was one of the ones saying that because that was the information that I got. There was other people saying the complete opposite because that was the information they got. So I did. I don't know how else I could say it, but I definitely feel like that's me taking full accountability by me saying I was reporting this way. This is why, because this person proved they knew info, had pictures, had this, had that, and I was saying things this way. I don't know, like I really don't. I don't know what else I could say. One thing that I do know is the internet. You can never prove everybody. You can never like make everybody happy, though. I could sit here and say whatever, and there would still be somebody that was upset with me about it, and just got to get over that. What was I saying before that? Oh yeah, so well, I'm going to tell you why I think. I started noticing they were believing Carly was in an oppressed home before the text. They've been hinting at it all season. It's them thinking she needs their saving. That is scary. Well, somebody reached out to me like months ago, and they had all this information. Oh, when you do this for a living, and people reach out to you, you don't just run with what they say. You have to try to vet them to be like, well, how do you know them? Who are you? I need you to prove this. You know what I'm saying? So this person knew information, street addresses, like the street that they lived on, the church that they go to, the school that she goes to, names of people. And I'm not a journalist, though. I mean, I didn't go to school for it. Yes, when I say report, I do this on YouTube. I'm not, I didn't go to school for journalism, but I still try to, like, I have morals. I try to like maintain, certain ethics when I do this. Like I want to try to be fair and honest. So with this situation, this person had information. They knew information. They knew names of people. They knew phone numbers. So I believed this person because I was like, okay, they validated who they were. Elle, when was the first text message? Oh, the date, I'm not sure. I know I was out of office when that happened. And now they've deleted them, so I really don't know. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. You have to vet them and what they said. I was a researcher for a couple of YouTubers, lawyers, true crime. You really have to vet folks. And that's why it shook me. Yeah. I mean, honestly, this this person that reached out to them that knew all this information said, "Oh yeah, I go to school with Carly. We go to this school." She knew teachers' names, friends' names. So I would have believed her too. Not that they should have been talking, but And then mocking the song, that was, yeah. Aaron mocking the song was disgusting. I agree. Why are we acting so entitled to a child is creepy that we're a part of the bigger problem? Thank you for all that you do. You're awesome, open minded. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, they didn't put them in order. The days that they were, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and close this one out. We've been going for 2 hours, but y'all, I'm a talker. I'm a talker. Vicky says, stay true to yourself. Information changes so quickly, especially these days. You aren't Amber and 34 years old, spent 4 years in prison. Listen, I spent 4 years in prison. Everybody better believe me and respect me. No, I'm just kidding. I haven't spent any time in prison, you guys. Not at all. It's a joke. Elle has always told the truth. It's come out wrong. She covers that. Also, Elle's thank you. Thank you so much. If I'm wrong, I'll tell you guys. Like, I said this and I was wrong, clearly. But you guys let me your thoughts in the comment section below. Maybe she doesn't want a relationship with her bio siblings because they will go. Yeah. You guys let me your thoughts. Like, share, subscribe. I'll be back later today with more. Also, tonight, we're going to go live over on TikTok to watch the new Mama June episode. So if you do not follow me on TikTok, Go follow me over there. It's Elle Bee official, I do believe. And every Friday night we go live. We can actually watch it together. There's a little box now on TikTok where you can like screen share, so I can actually show the show and watch it with you guys. So we're going to be doing that every Friday night. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you. I appreciate you guys so much. Everybody in here saying that like I'm trying to be fair, because y'all, sometimes I get like eat up other places. People saying that I'm not fair just because I'm not like going so hard. So I really do appreciate when you guys say that. Thank you. Thank you, Gail. I was gonna wear a different color pink shirt, but I couldn't find it. I don't have TikTok. So much fun. Download it if you want to. If you want to. He is always throwing out there what would excuse his behavior. I get what you're saying. Drop the link. Oh, for my top. Where did I get this top? Okay, so my sister used to have a boutique, and I think I got it from her boutique years ago. Years ago. But Dash, if I can find it, I will link it. I think I got you on X, so I'll message you if I can find it. We'll watch. Thank you, Kim. Thank you so much. Already seen some of tonight's episode. It's a little rough on Josh. We're gonna have fun tonight covering it. You're the best. Oh, thank you, Goose. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys so much. Because anytime I've covered this topic, I'm like, oh God, because I don't go so hard on them, and because I don't call them rumors, or I don't say this or that, or what this person says, people's gonna hate me. They're gonna say, oh, I make excuses for them. I'm not. No excuse for it. No excuse for it. However, I have questions about some of it. No excuses, but I have questions. All right, you guys, like this video on your way out, and I will see you guys later. Bye, everyone.